Clear Street is pretty much at the forefront of trying to get our CI/CD pipelines working as well as possible before we push code out.
What are like common, like when you're talking to candidates, and let's say you find a candidate you really like,
Yep.
What are but you're both trying to sort of work through the final details of whether there's a match or not.
Yep.
What are the common questions people have?
Yeah, I mean, the most common one I've had so far is about like what are the engineering practices like at Clear Street in terms of how you ship code to production and things like that. And on that front, I have to say that Clear Street is pretty much at the forefront of trying to get our CI/CD pipelines working as well as possible before we push code out. And that is all set up. If you're coming from, say, a banking world or a world that's not as mature in how you develop and then push code to production, this is going to be a game changer. The way we do it is it's very streamlined, and we have dedicated DevOps and infrastructure teams to help you with that process. And I think that's probably the number one question I've seen so far is like it's a financial services company. Do you have the same practices as, say, Google or Facebook in terms of how you ship code? And absolutely, that is number one on the list of what we do.
Yeah, it's cool. And then what about people who are trying to think, oh, well, if I go join the risk engineering team at Clear Street, then I guess Arvind will be my boss. What's that dude like? And it's a little bit, I'd be curious to sort of hear your thoughts around how you think about career development for engineers, working, at a company like Clear Street, how you go about, managing the risk engineering team, the sort of management hygiene practices that, you have, because, there's such a huge variation across people on how they do these things. Yep. And I'd be curious to hear how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, my management style, I would say, is very hands-off. I don't like to micromanage at all. I would generally like to give a project to a certain individual and then ask them to run with it, and then come back with decisions or anything that they have blockers on. Yes, we'll come back with. I usually tend to have like one-on-ones every week with my people that I'm managing, and they can be short and informal. We usually just grab a cup of coffee and go over, not necessarily just work, anything in general. But I like that informal style of management instead of having like every quarter we'll still have those formal processes, but the ability for you to just come to me and ask a question at any time is key, I think. And I'm always available, as long as I'm not in a meeting or anything like that, but I'm always available to answer questions and provide that dialogue when needed. At the same time, like I think just providing that project is not enough. I also like to set up things like we use what's called Notion and Clubhouse in Clear Street to track projects through to completion. So that is something that I think a lot of managers don't like to be on top of, but I do. So I like that style of keeping track through stories or individual tasks that you're doing, and that way you get feedback without having to just constantly talk to the person as well.